All right. Let's see what we got here. We are live. All right. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, everywhere we need to be to kick off today's 5-day AI challenge, day three. Day three already. It's already Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Ready to rock and roll here with day three of the 5-day AI challenge. Everything to do with getting your system up and running. We've covered that in day 1 and 2. Today is going to be all about fueling the system now, really making sure we're positioning ourselves as the local marketing experts in our area. We're having solid conversations with confidence around the product, what we do, how we do it, and bring in education to these small to medium-sized business owners to understand the value in exchange for money that we're going to provide. So this is going to be an exciting day. As always, I'd like to just give it a few minutes for our Zoom room to get to where it needs to be, for our live stream viewers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn to just chime in. If you don't mind chiming in, where you're from, where you're tuning in from, and a little bit of bragging rights. If you've been here since day one, let me know if you've been here since day one. Maybe you jumped in on day 2 and now you're doing day 2 and day 3 with me here. But definitely let me know where you're from and when did you join us? As we're getting people here a few minutes to get started. And what's really been amazing here is our Facebook group has been on fire for all the right reasons. We have amazing folks that are introducing themselves in the group. They're sharing, they're sharing questions, they're sharing answers, they're really going above and beyond. And I just want, as we're giving this a minute here to warm up, I want to just share with you all what that looks like. Because if you haven't had a chance yet to jump in and fill out the questions and go into the group and introduce yourself, would love to invite you to do so today. Do it now. Go ahead and jump into the facebook.com/groups GHL 5-day challenge. We're streaming in there live. You can go ahead and comment, respond if you're in the group. You can comment and respond on our Facebook business page. And we have amazing folks from all over the world that are just finding out about us or that have been with us and now they're taking the challenge because they want to see what else is available to offer to their customers. So a big shout out to Michael. Thank you for introducing yourself and joining in. Shout out to Matthew for asking questions. Johnny Nelson from Dallas, Texas for putting yourself out there. Renata, just all of you, right, that are coming in here, introducing yourself, sharing, jumping in and just embracing the challenge, but more importantly, making new relationships. Because here's what I learned really quick as I jumped into what you're jumping into now, is that relationships is what fills the gap of knowledge, experience, and success, right? So if you're with the right people in the right room, offering and exchanging ideas, best practices, you fast track past the learning curve. And the learning curve is an uphill battle. And unfortunately, you can't, walk up the hill. You got to really lean forward and run up the hill because walking up, you'll never make it. You'll just be exhausted. So we're going to do that today together. We're going to run up this learning curve hill. My call to action to you is to jump into the Facebook group today if you have not yet already. If you've been in there and you have been on the sideline, I'm inviting you today to introduce yourself, whether it's a photo or video. Let us know that you exist. We have over 5,000 members. 1% would make a difference. So be that 1%, and that'll get you 1% better in the challenge, but also in the launch of your software as a service with AI assistant, conversation AI as your core offer, right? So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this. We got a few folks. Just want to give a couple quick shout outs. We got Bill Quigley. You've been here, man, since day one. Thank you. Appreciate you asking great questions. Just leaning in. I appreciate you for that. We got Sonia Jabarin from Chicago. Welcome. Thank you for joining in. Appreciate you. Got Mark from Pittsburgh, PA. We have Dwight from Netherlands since day one. Appreciate you for jumping in. Business Growth Success Inc. from day one, Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Mario closing us out here with a day 3. Let's go. Let's go, man. That's the energy, right? The energy is everything when we're doing this. I just want to jump onto YouTube real quick because we got some friends on YouTube that are tuning in. So I want to make sure we give them a quick shout out here and that we have them in the mix. Give me a quick second here. And I want you, while I'm doing this here, I want you to go ahead and start jotting down some of the questions you have. What are some of the questions you have that maybe you came across going through day 1 through day 2, or you know, while doing day 3 ahead of time, you got some new questions around strategy, positioning, lyrics, you know, maybe a niche that you want to reach out to or work with. Whomever you're going to have a sales conversation or informational conversational with, jot it down now so I can get a head start. I got Romel Bentecourt from Markham, Ontario, Canada. Welcome, welcome to day 3. We got Dom Music here with an important question, so definitely jot that down for me, man, and I'll get you that. I'll get you over some help with that web builder you're asking for. We got Serena Dingus from a small town, Kingsport, Tennessee. It is a pleasure to have you with us here. And then we are going to just kick off here. Let me share some of these slides. Pull this up here. Bear with me. We got some great things that are coming up here that I'm excited to share with you. And without further ado, we're going to do a slideshow. And we're going to go share screen. All right, cool. So we got day 3 here going. Let me move this out of the way so it's not in your way. So day 3, prospecting and sales. How many of you, I don't want to start this, I don't want to open up a bag of worms here, but how many of you know that sales is important? You know that sales is important, but you're not a big fan of it. You're not a big fan of it, but you know it's a big part of this. Go ahead and let me know in the comments if that's you, right? I know sales is important, but I'm just not a big fan of it, right? And if you do enjoy sales, and sometimes you don't get to really go all in on the sales because maybe the operations part of the business, the techie part of the business just consumes your day, right? You just get sucked into the techie or the operations, and the sales, you love it, but you really can't get a chance to do it, right? Go ahead and let me know if that's you as well. And the reason I bring this up is because myself and my colleagues, we see this from time to time in surveys, feedback, just in conversations and in challenges like this, that we have a handful of people that could do both very, very well, right? And then we have a handful of people that would rather lean to one side, which is operations, and the other side, which is sales. And we also find that because people know their strengths, they end up looking to partner with somebody and do a joint venture with another person that obviously, after vetting, getting to know, learning, really seeing if you guys are connected as much as you can, right? Maybe you partner with somebody, or you bring on a VA, you take on the expense of bringing on a VA that's passionate about the techie, and you focus on the sales, right? And that's important, and here's why. Because whether you embrace sales or not, you enjoy it or you have a passion for it, is irrelevant. What you need to keep in mind at all times is that you need to have consultative, strategic conversations with business owners that may know what help they need, but also that may not know what help they need. Because you're going to come across a lot of different people with a lot of different experiences that maybe would rather lean into the operations part of their business and not the sales or marketing part. And you need to be able to identify that. You need to be able to see that from a distance, but also by asking the right questions. Asking the questions of understanding what type of business owner they are really starts to open up and unlock doors to areas that you need to start leaning in forward on to properly and effectively position your white label powered by high level as an operating system, right? So let's just say you're going to be a generalist, right? And that's fine. You're a generalist. You work with all small businesses in your area, right? Just to get started. Well, as a generalist, you need to know a lot of questions around how these types of businesses operate. Because if you don't, well, then the conversations are going to come off very salesy, right? So as a generalist, you need to have strategic questions around what they do, how they do it. And it's a little harder for generalists because you have to know a little bit of everything, a jack of all trades. But if you're a specialist, right? You're a specialist. Maybe you're working with the healthcare field. Maybe you're working with the professional services field, right? As a specialist, you're working maybe with notary republics. Maybe you're working with real estate agents. Maybe you're working with insurance agents. Maybe you're working with home improvement contractors, right? Whatever you're working with, you should know enough about them just a little bit more in depth. And these are a few things to keep in mind. You know, this is part of the agenda. It's knowing what their day-to-day looks like. What are some of the hurdles that they manage during each day? And how does technology solve that? How will technology solve that? So I say that to say this, we're going to jump into day 3, right? And it's revolving around prospecting and sales. But prospecting and sales is also fueled by pain, and it's fueled by knowledge. And we need to have a nice balance of understanding their pain and understanding their knowledge in order to fill in the gap as the specialist or the strategist to help them get out of that pain and fill that gap of maybe overwhelming feeling, lack of business, lack of a techie experience, right? So how do we get in front of these prospects? How do we have like a conversation like I'm having with you? It's a one-way conversation through verbal, but I see the messages that are coming in, right? So how do we get this engagement going, verbal, in person, or virtually? We're going to go over that. What do we say once we get them on a Zoom or on the phone or in person? What do we say? How do we go about it? Maybe you're a straight shooter. How many of y'all are straight shooters, right? You just get right to the point. I'm like that. It's gotten me in trouble. It's gotten me maybe, maybe I lost a few relationships because of that, right? But there's a way to remix that. There's a way to adjust it so it works to your benefit and helps your prospect. How many of you are more of a kind of easygoing, right? The more listener, right? More I respond to rather initiate of, right? You just kind of go with the flow of that person, right? If they're quiet, you stay quiet, right? You're not salesy, right? And I hate to say salesy, right? But that's how people look at it. That's how business owners look at it. And that's how like other people look at it, like, oh, I'm not salesy, right? So all of this is important because I need you to get in the mindset and the mind frame of how do I take what I'm really good at and make it work for me to help others? And how do I take what I'm not good at or not interested in and make it part of my routine so I become more, it's more easier to make happen, right? And you'll have to do that with your business owner prospects as well. Because I promise you, once you give them your white label version of what we're going over high level, they're gonna be like, I don't got time for this, John. I don't have time for this, Bill. Alan, thank you, but no thank you. Right? Raviv, thank you, but no thank you. Ida, I'm not interested. I'm not really techie. Sonia, I'm not interested in adding more things to my plate. You're gonna get these objections or these maybe excuses or these statements of just not right now. Maybe later, but not right now, right? But there's no better day than yesterday than today to get going. There's no better day than today than the day before yesterday to really fast track what they've been missing out on and helping them get organized, helping them communicate, helping them attract new customers in their area. So now that we get them engaged, we gotta know how to close the deals, right? And We have to learn how to transition them into customers. We have to learn how to build relationships. We have to learn how to set expectations, right? And maybe you're a really experienced professional with sales experience. Maybe you've taken some of these great sales courses that are out and about in the marketplace. Maybe you're certified in some sort of sales training or verbal judo or some sort of curriculum that gives you a structured process. Or maybe you have experience in sales because you've worked in a company that was sales driven. You can use all of that here. And here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you for this favor. I'm asking you, as we do this session today and we really get into the day-to-day, I want you to chime in with your examples. I want you to chime in with your scenarios. I want you to put yourself in the chat and maybe share your perspective, right? If I'm talking about one thing, maybe you give the alternative. Maybe you share the opposite, right? If I'm talking about someone who really enjoys sales, maybe you say, I don't enjoy sales. This is how I go about it. I really want this session to be about learning from what I've put together with the team that works with me behind the scenes, but also learning from each other. Because that's how you're going to build the best relationships and really get the best practices and nuggets to apply in your market. Now, keep in mind, results will vary based on your effort, your experience, your market, the positioning, and pretty much everything that you make yours from what you learned today. And again, it's not going to happen the first time, but it might take more than usual. So the key to this success here is just consistency, being open-minded, and just practice, and have conversations. So here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to spend hours in front of your computer or hours creating scripts or hours rewording or trying to learn high level. I just want you to get in front of people that'll give you 5 minutes, that'll allow you to earn 5 minutes of their time, talk organically about what you do and how you do it, ask questions, and then let's see where that conversation flows into, right? Look at the conversation like a maze, right? You're going into a maze. The unknown is ahead, right? But you're prepared for the worst, right? You're prepared to either walk into a glass or get lost for a couple of hours because the maze is a little harder than you expected. But your mindset is that I'm prepared for the unexpected. But as you go through that maze and you start to see the flow of the maze, you're like, okay, I see a pattern here. If I go left twice, then right twice, then straight few steps, I'm noticing that this pattern continues. My observation leads me to believe that I'm going to have to go left again, and then left is where we go. I want you to be able to take those verbal cues and notes as you're meeting and talking to people, and I'm sharing with you the process. So I want to get right into this here because we're going to jump into an important part that you may or may not be familiar with, right? And that is the conversation phases that are required to have a smooth flow when meeting somebody, right? Because like I mentioned before, I'm a straight shooter, and there's a few straight shooters in the building here. And here's what a straight shooter will do. And I'll use Ellen as an example. Let's say Ellen K. I hope I pronounced it correctly, Ellen K. Let's say Ellen K owns a chiropractor office. She's a chiropractor in town. And I'm driving around and I'm making a list, or I'm taking photos of some buildings and stuff. I'm just trying to build my flow up. I got done with this training. I'm excited. I'm ready to now build up my monthly recurring revenue software business. So I see this chiropractor office. I pop in because next door I'm doing something else, and I say, "Hey, how are you? My name's John. I was trying to see if Dr. K was around by chance." "Oh no, Dr. K's with patients." "Okay, no problem. I wanted to say hi. I was interested in a little bit about if you guys offer, the DRX 9000, or if you offer any physical therapy, or what insurances you accept, right?" And then, the front desk administrator will probably ask, "Oh, well, this, that, and the other," and you're having a conversation with them. That's a good way to really start to build a context around the office tonality, the style, because here's an observation. Typically, when you walk into a business, the person that's there is always there, whether it's the front desk administrator, whether it's the, supervisor, or just the person that is running the business day to day. really getting familiar with their style and asking some basic questions around their business is important. But normally, if you were to say, hey, I want to meet Dr. K and I just want to talk to her about some sales and marketing stuff, immediately that administrator guards up. Sorry, Dr. K is busy. Please, did you see the sign at the door? No solicitation. No solicitation. Thank you, but no thank you. Right? So that's what a straight shooter would do. Right? And I've done that and I've made that mistake. So, I'm going to go over with you phase 1 through phase 4 on how you either have this type of conversation in 5 minutes or in 55 minutes, whether it's with the administrator, the supervisor, or the actual decision maker. So that way you get enough information and build enough rapport that they start to ask you questions, right? So if you have any questions on this, or you have any best practices, or you have any feedback as we go along, throw it in the chat. And I promise to scan through it. We can include it. All right. So I talked already about disliking sales scripts. Personally, I've never been a big sales script fan, but I've enjoyed using them as a framework. Memorizing lines is dreadful for me. That's why I never became an actor or was part of plays. So I don't like to memorize, scripts. It's just hard. If I did, I'd be in a movie by now, right? Or doing something else regarding memorization. But here's what I do enjoy. I enjoy understanding the context around something and then making it into my own words and then adding my own style to it and my own personality. And that's what I want you to do with this. And what I'm showing you right now here is what we call internally here at High Level, the bridging system. The bridging system. And if you've ever been part of our previous challenges, my colleague Paulson Thomas has gone over this bridging system over and over and over, and it never gets old because it sticks to the basics and the fundamentals of having a solid conversation, right? So we're going to go over phase 1. That's the story phase. And the purpose of the story phase, it allows both you and the prospect to familiarize with each other's business backgrounds, right? But I want you to keep in mind that I want you to almost look at this as a very curious person, right? So your tonality, your eye contact, your questions matter, but you essentially want to start asking the prospect about how they got started in their profession, right? If they have a story that they would be willing to share with you, like around maybe, when they got into practice, let's say Dr. Ellen K, right? When they got into practice, they were working for another practitioner. They saw that there was an opportunity, and their passion was always to have their own office. And it was a hard journey, and they're sharing their journey. They're sharing how they got to where they're at today, right? Think about that. Somebody who has accomplishments, somebody who has goals, somebody who has a passion for their success, and they're proud of what they've accomplished, whether it's a short time or a long time, wants to share that. They want to share that. So I want you to be curious and really find the art and the approach that you use from you to get to understand that story, right? And understanding, how did you then start your business? So how did you get in the field, right? Was this like, since you were a kid, did this like happen, you pivoted? And then what inspired you to start your own business? And then this really is designed to give them the floor. You're giving them the floor, but you're still in control of how the conversation goes. Someone once told me that the more control you give, the more time and freedom you give to others, is really the more control you have. So because you may not be the one doing a majority of the talking, that's fine. You're still in control because you're asking the right questions. That's igniting their nostalgia and their past of happiness to share their story, right? And that's an amazing experience. They don't just share this with everybody. They have to trust you, right? So you're keeping in control, and that helps gauge their engagement based on how in-depth they're going on their story. So I want you to look at phase 1. In a perfect world, maybe it's 8 minutes. You may be saying, John, that's a short amount of time. Well, put yourself in front of a microwave and microwave something for 8 minutes. Let me know if that feels like forever, right? And I don't recommend you microwave anything for 8 minutes these days because it'll probably, whether it's oatmeal or any food, it'll probably burn it. But it's important to keep in mind that 8 minutes is a long time when you're having a great conversation, right? And it's not the length of the time that matters, it's the quality of what's shared and the listening that you're doing. And then how you're pivoting by taking the listening, active listening, and then grabbing one or two components of that amazing story they shared, and then pivoting it into another question, right? So within 8 minutes, you can really get to understand how they got started, maybe a little bit about their family or what they want to share about their family on their own. Maybe they share a little bit about their sports, and then because of the sports, that got them into running their own business, right? And let that story go. That story is not a set it and forget it. It's unique to everybody. Everyone has their own story. So there's no exact formula to follow. Just listen, right? And keeping this, interaction, little less than 8 minutes is fine. Many more than that, you're taking too much time because look at this here. If you look at phase 1, you're there for 8 minutes. Maybe phase 2, you're there for 5 minutes. Phase 3 maybe turns into 15 minutes, right? And then phase 4, you only have 2 minutes because you didn't consider the time they really have available, and now they have to leave, right? They have a patient coming in. They got a phone call. They have an emergency. They only allotted 30 minutes, but you're already 30 minutes by phase 2.5. So you have to really keep in mind how much time you spend on these phases. And they don't, and obviously the person you talk to doesn't know them as phases, right? They don't even know them as story, numbers, conditions, decisions. You just need to picture that as you're walking through it. Picture that, because they don't know what this is all about, right? You're not explaining this. You're not going to say to them, hey, I'm going to go through the story phase, and then we're going to jump into the number phase, and then we're going to jump into the conditions phase, and then I'm going to position a decision for you to make, right? They don't know that is the flow. So being organic, cool, calm, collective is very important, right? So we're taking the information from the story phase and we're bridging that into the numbers phase, right? And the rule with the numbers phase is a really, really important rule. And again, there are many sales philosophies, many sales theories, strategies, curriculums, right? There's different ways to sell. I think the biggest thing to remember, no matter what sales platform or sales, professional you support or follow, I think it's important to look at it as everyone's unique, and I need to really understand what's important to them by asking foundational questions. And the number one rule here is never be the first to bring up finances directly. Never be the first to bring up finances directly in a sales conversation. Don't be that person. And here's why. Because it's going to automatically make them feel like you're in it for the wrong reason. I knew it. This person just wants to find out my story to use it against me because now they want to know my revenue, and they want to know this, that, and the other, and they're going to try to sell me something, right? Like everyone knows that you're there to help them be better, whether they realize it directly or not, right? But everyone's also had different experiences with salespeople that were once in your seat, with consultants which were once in your seat, with someone that claimed that they have the secret, tool to grow their business once in your seat. So never bring up finances directly, but here's how you navigate this conversation. Begin with volume-oriented questions. Begin with volume-oriented questions around their business activities, right? So in this case, we're using one of our participants here is Ellen K. We're calling her Dr. Ellen K, chiropractor. And I'll ask Dr. Ellen K, Doc, your story is amazing and it's really inspiring. And I can imagine what your patients feel when they meet with you and your team. Doc, would you mind if I ask you a couple of questions around how the business operates and the opportunity you have to serve patients every day? And she goes, what do you mean? Or maybe she says, sure, right? The response could be anything. But aside from the response that she shares with me, I'll say, Doc, would you mind sharing your hours of operation, are you open like most chiropractors from, 8 a.m. to 1, close from 1 to 2, and then reopen in the afternoon, evening with some days off, like a Thursday, Sunday off? Because I have a couple questions around that I just want to clarify with you. And then I just stop and she'll share with me, no, we're actually very unique. We're open 7 days a week. I go, I knew, I saw that on the Google business page, but I didn't know if that was up to date. No, we're open 7 days a week and we're open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Wow, Doc, that's amazing. I don't think I've ever met any chiropractor that's open 7 days a week, 8 to 8, with the exception of Sunday till 4. That's almost like I don't think veterinarians are even open that late in the, all day, every day. Could you share a little bit about what made you go that route, that business model of being super available? And maybe she'll get into a little bit about that. Maybe something inspired her. Maybe there was an opportunity. Maybe she saw a big gap, right? And with that being said, now we talk into, well, Doc, on any given day, how many new walk-in patients are you seeing walking in for the first time? Right? How many new walk-in patients are you seeing coming in for the first time? So that's one question to ask based on volume-based questioning. Doc, how many of your patients are coming in from referrals? Another one you could use. Doc, how many patients are you having that are coming in the evening more than the morning? Like, do you have any reporting or any details that support volume of maybe your mornings on Monday are much more busier than your mornings on Wednesday? What type of data do you have available that you're looking back at to make business decisions? And, a question like that really opens up their mind personally. They're like, I don't have any of that. And then there's this awkward silence or this defensiveness or this aha moment of, oh, I should have something like that. Let me ask my assistant. Let me ask my administrator. Right. So now we start to get them in business mode. See, phase 2, we want to get them in business mode. We want to warm them up with easy to answer questions around obvious public facing information. And then we want to start to get a little deeper and deeper to understand maybe what's a little bit more private or proprietary for them. So then we can then get into asking about their products, their services, their pricing strategies, right? How do they price out, or how do they offer their service to their clients? And then eventually, as you're finding out, as your specialist approach is evolving, you're finding out these volume-based questions, the answers to them, you can now approach the transition of the conversation from general operations to specific financial impact. And this typically happens if done, if I had to say, when would it be done? In my experience, it's done like about, I give about maybe 8-9 minutes of this conversation flow. This one typically maybe expands a little bit. So I'll expand on the phase 2 and then I'll leave extra time for phase 4. But let's say phase 2 is about 10 minutes. I allot 10-12 minutes. I usually get to like that pivot of getting a little bit more in depth, but like 4 or 5 minutes in. Right. And I want to know, Doc, with the insurances you accept, with the cash clients that are coming in that don't have insurance, with your hours of 8 to 8, Monday through Saturday, what days are the most efficient and profitable for you that we need to really help your team get a grip on, maybe follow-ups, answering some basic frequently asked questions that are repetitive, right? So I've now positioned that into planting a seed on how do we make their people more optimized? How do we give their people more flexibility to do what they're really great at without dealing with the redundancy and the repetitive tasks, right? And there's different ways to go about this, but I want to give you just that example. And as we do that, we're then able to get into the conditions, right? So I'll say, Doc, it sounds like you guys are running a well-oiled operation here, right? And we both agree that there are some areas of opportunity where we can, shift the heavy weight of repetitive questions, repetitive requests, repetitive answering of same things over and over and over that can easily be put or responded by an AI Chiro assistant. So let's keep that in mind. Let's talk about the conditions of how you're operating the business now. And could you share a little bit with me about why your patients come to you versus the 7 other chiropractors in the area? Why do they come to you versus the 7 other chiropractors in the area, Doc? And now we're starting to build the frame around the conditions, and we're building the frame a little bit around the environment around them, right? And they'll say, well, I specialize this, and this. My hours are amazing. We have many reviews. We have many partnerships and associations, and they'll just go on and on about it. That's fine, right? But we want to then say, well, Doc, do you feel like you've capped out the potential? Do you feel like you've really hit the ceiling of you can't get more than what you're getting now? And that question, when I ask it to somebody, it becomes, no, actually, I really feel like I could be doing more. And I'll say, well, what makes you feel that way, Doc? And then maybe Dr. Ellen K says, well, I know that, you know, the volume that I have is great and it does this well, but I know if I bring on one more chiropractor or I could free up my administrator's time, I can maximize our real potential. And what we want to do at that point is really hone in on what are the services that the doctor may feel that she's not maximizing. Maybe it's not the chiropractic care. Maybe it's actually the physical therapy. Maybe it's the acupuncture. Maybe it's the massage therapy, or maybe it's the post-op experience. So we really need to just confirm because depending on chiropractors that you go to, right, they have different additional supportive services. And maybe they brought on an extra staff member for that physical therapy department, or maybe they're planning on bringing on 2 chiropractors to support the volume. You need to know what they're thinking and what they want, right? And that really allows you to see the market fit and their service fit. And that complements everything you went over with phase 1 and phase 2. And now, you just have to be, cautious that if your conversation went really, really, really great up to this point, they're going to start to say things like, look, could we just get how much does this cost? Like, could you tell me what do you have that I could buy and I want to work with you? Like, they're going to say these convincing statements of, I'm ready to buy. What do you got? Like, here's my credit card, or tell me more. What do you do? Those are all great signs, but those also could be mini roadblocks. So definitely answer the question, but very limited, and bring it back to, I promise you, we're almost there. I did have a question around, and then now you start to take what you've learned from the conditions phase, and now you're getting into the decision-making phase. So essentially, what this doctor's doing is they're trying to take control of the conversation now, right? They're trying to take control towards the end because they know we're about to talk about product and money. They know we're about to get into maybe a little bit of a conversation of the fear of, oh my God, this is probably super expensive. This guy's smart. It looks like this product is amazing. He knows asks a lot of great questions. Like, what is this all going to cost, right? So they're thinking in their mind ahead of what's next, like you are. So now we take this transition into the decision-making phase, the last phase, right? And you want to focus and understand here how they make a decision. So, a quick pivot that I've done in the past is, Doc, you have the DRX 9000. It's not a inexpensive machine. Like there's a big investment required. You have, so-and-so equipment. You have a beautiful place. When you've made decisions to do these types of big purchases, right? What process, what convinced you that it was worth it? And then in this case, they might say, "Oh, you're going to sell me something, aren't you, John?" Or, "Oh, what does it matter?" And you say, "Well, Doc, here's why it matters. I want to understand when I work with you, how I should be proactive and prepared to work with you, because everyone has their style of how they do business. So when you've made these big decisions, when you make any decisions with whether it's continuing education, seminars, groups, buying equipment, giving your staff raises, bringing on new employees, what's your analysis process? What's your decision-making process around that? How do you look at things? And they're going to respect that question if they're a business-minded person. If they're a business-minded person, they're going to respect that question and they're going to answer it, right? And I want you to know, have a mental note of this. It is a decision that you make to work with them and they make to work with you. And you will learn this very quickly that not everybody is meant for everybody. So it's important that you vet and really make sure that you guys have a good fit that works for you because they're doing the same that works for them. And these are great ways of asking these types of questions to let them know subconsciously that I'm interviewing you like you're interviewing me. I'm listening to you like you're listening to me. I think we have good synergy. I know I can help you, and I know you trust me and you want my help. So this is this way of you're building the foundation of a cohesive, interactive, engaged, quality business owner friendship relationship. At the end of the day, they're exchanging money for expertise and results. That's on your end. Their end, they have to give time, patience, and trust, right? So we have to meet in the middle and lock arms, okay? So I share all of that because as you're going through all these phases, you're building upon phase one, phase two, etc., and you're guiding the conversation effectively through practice, through experience. You're handling objections as they come up here and there, and they're not objections to throw you off. They're just questions they want answered, or they need clarity on. Like it's not that they want to bust your chops all the time. It's that this is all new to them. They haven't spoken to somebody like you that knows what they're talking about, that's familiar with their industry. Like everyone's come in the door trying to sell them an advertisement, a newspaper, some billboard, and in and out. You actually spent time and had a business conversation, a strategy. Goes a long way. And as you're going through this, you're leading the mindset of yours and the prospect to either close the deal immediately. So you should expect to close the deal then, if you have your pricing, your positioning, and all your details lined up. Or if you don't close it on the spot, that's fine. But you've set a foundation and next steps to fulfill on a future agreement. And typically in a situation where, when I worked for, larger companies selling larger programs, I followed this without being exactly this. But also when I started my own agency and I was really good at sales and I was fair in operations, I had to also have these types of conversations and really start to build my pipeline. And I would get some onesies and twosies here because of my local presence, my referrals, my relationships. And then I would get these bigger whales, I have like a whale report, these bigger whales that it would take more time and longer conversations and more frequent conversations, but they would be 5K, 8K, 9K. They'd be bigger deals, but they'd be more responsibility and more expectations. So I say all of that because as we get this 5-day challenge right to the end, we're going to end on Friday. This component here is going to make your day easier. You're going to feel more confident, or it's going to stress you out. And you're going to really have this moment where you're going to say, is this for me? Right? But I want to share with you that you don't have to go to the extreme and say, I'm all in or I'm all out. What I'm saying to you is that if you follow this phase 1 through 4, you have a great foundation that you could practice, develop, and then get better each time. But you got to start the conversation, whether it's in person through text, convert it to a virtual Zoom or a phone call, but you got to show personality. Like, you see me talking right now, moving my hands, right? Pointing, sharing my screen. There's this parasocial connection that we're having. And then as you're responding back to me, right? I got Alan responding back. I got Dwight responding back. I got Bill. I got Ida. I got a whole bunch of you responding back to me. There's a parasocial relationship there as well, where my commitment to you is to give you the information you need and engage with you. So we have this virtual agreement, right? That any of us could break at any time and just tune out or stop talking to each other or communicating, right? So it's the same, whether it's in person or virtually. But you have to maintain that flow. You're responsible to maintain that flow. So I want you to jot down in the comments, share with me a nugget, an aha moment. Share with me maybe an experience you had that maybe you weren't really familiar with this bridging the gap, conversation phases, but you found yourself in this flow organically already, right? Because we didn't make this up from scratch. We grabbed this from some of the best practitioners out in the sales world. We grabbed this from our existing customers that shared their best practices and experiences. This has been accumulated from personal experiences and stories. So go ahead and share with me in the chat. What have you experienced maybe similar to this? What advice or feedback do you have for our fellow viewers? Or what questions do you have? Is there a question you have around this? Okay, throw that in the chat, and I'll look back here in a moment, and we'll jump right in. All right. So again, our core offer is the AI assistant, the executive assistant. Like, have you made up your name yet for your product? Have you determined a name for your offer? What is it? Throw it in the chat if you've created a name already. Have you found a niche? Have you found an industry? Have you found, a type of avatar of a business owner that you want to work with, or maybe bring on, or maybe it's from your experience, and you're going to go based off of your experience that you've had in an industry. Throw it in the chat. Now, this sales and prospecting is complementing your day 2 setup. So you don't have to answer this question, but have you set up your AI website yet? Have you set up your AI chat widget on your website yet? I mean, do you have your online storefront for this AI executive assistant up and running yet? Like, have you gone through the actual, do you have a finished product? Can I go to your website? Can I ask your bot a question? Can I go to your sales page? Everything that we created for you in the snapshot, is it installed? And if it's not, we got to get you there. And the only way we're going to get you there is by me reminding you that you need that, but you got to get it done yourself, whether it's spending the time to do it or asking for help with our superhumans at speakwith.us/success. And if you got your site up already, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Go ahead and throw it in the chat. Maybe you made some changes to it. Maybe you missed something. Maybe you throw it in the chat and somebody says, hey, man, hey, gal, you missed something. This is not set up, or I try to book an appointment and it won't let me book it. Did your setting? You didn't do the right settings, right? Throw it in the chat and let's look out for each other. I think that's a big part of this challenge, is looking out for each other. We're not in race with each other. We're in race with ourselves to get to the finish line of a first paying customer. So now that we got our website up, we got to build our first sales script, right, as the focus of AI Receptionist tool, AI Executive Assistant. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to keep in mind that this is a foundation, right? I want you to read this and I want you to put it in your own tonality and personality and words. If you copy and paste this, it's probably not going to work, right? Because you're not going to know how to respond to it and you're not going to feel confident enough to send it out, right? But I'm going to read this out loud here. Hey, Dr. Ellen, I wanted to reconnect with you regarding business, actually, and run a few things by you. I notice you have a good reputation in the community with your services and products. When would be a good time for us to connect? I would like to understand more about how I can send people over to you, and also would like to get feedback on a business launch I'm working on in the software space in regards to the chiropractic industry, right? Could we set up a quick phone call so we can share progress, right? Now, this here is for someone you already know. So let's just say, for example, I already know Dr. Ellen K, right? I was a patient. Maybe she's my neighbor. Maybe it's my, my friend's, partner, right? I'm already familiar. So with what I read was the foundation script. Maybe I say something like this. Hey, Dr. Ellen, saw some great things that your office has been posting online. It looks like you guys have a lot of great things set up for the summer, and it's exciting to see all of what you are doing for the community. I was hoping to connect with you on a new service I'm offering, and I would love to get your feedback on how I'm launching it and see if we can potentially work together on setting you up on a beta to see for yourself how it works, and maybe you can give me some feedback because it's going to be focused on the chiropractic industry, right? So if you read that first part, she may say, oh, what do you know? Now you're going to sell me something, but you're really asking for feedback and the opportunity to get her feedback because it's specifically made for the chiropractic industry. Now, any chiropractor or any physician or any business owner that is innovative, that is always looking for the cutting edge, is curious. Oh, this is just for the chiro industry? Yeah, I'd be open to look at it. Right? So you're striking interest and piquing their interest because it's particularly for their industry. Right? Would you mind if we set up a quick phone call that I can run a couple things by you to make sure it's worth your time? But more importantly, I just wanted to say thank you for for letting me know of your ability, and your social media looks great, right? And you're just personalizing. Like that's what I could say with that's just my personality, right? You got to make it yours, right? So just want to make sure. Do you understand why I'm asking you to kind of make it your own? Any objections to that? Any objections to the script as a whole? Right? This is going to someone you already know. Yes, you could use ChatGPT. Yes, you could use Cloud. Yes, you could use Bard. You could use any AI you want. But remember, the AI is only as good as the prompts and the lead-in you give it. So you have to look at that as well in how you have a conversation with somebody through social media, email, or text, right? And making it your own and not sounding like delve into or unlock or these cliche words that maybe we're familiar and we recognize as ChatGPT words, right? We want to keep it to human-like tonality, and that's why making it your own is so important, right? Great stuff. Got a few folks here that shared their websites. Thank you. A few folks with some questions and some feedback. Appreciate you. Thank you for the engagement. We're going to keep it going here. Any questions on this, please jot it down. If there's something you would do different, jot it down. Share it. Don't keep a secret about it. Share it with me. Share it with each other. Let's pick up from there, right? So that script was for someone you're familiar with, right? And there is a strategy called the Dream 100, which is you're building on your existing relationships. For my folks that aren't interested in sales, are like, oh, here we go. This is some sort of tap into your personal network, right? Absolutely not. We're just recommending the Dream 100 because these are people that are not going to slam the door in your face, maybe not. They're going to at least give you the respect and hear what you have going on. They're going to be excited for you. They're going to be open-minded to you because maybe the last time you did talk to them was 6 months ago, and they know you as somebody who has great energy, or you're funny, or you're informative, you're professional. So that's why we say, so let's start with the Dream 100. Let's start with the people that would be open to hear from you rather than some stranger that thinks you're trying to sell them, some sort of cookies or candy bars or, timeshare, right? Let's go with those who will appreciate our outreach, right? So we want to create a list of familiar contacts. We want to prioritize that based on maybe, when you last spoke to them or relationship to them. We want to initiate a personalized outreach, and again, this is all in steps, right? Like, so if you're going to text somebody, don't text them one whole big message, right? You got to break it down. So there's got to be engagement. It's got to be organic, right? If I send a message to Anthony Jones, hey, Anthony, it's John. It's been a minute, man. Love what you're doing on Facebook. How you been? Maybe Anthony gets back to me 25 minutes later. Maybe he gets it back to me 25 hours later. I got to wait for him to get back to me. If you don't get back to me, I'm having a one-way conversation. And that happens. How many of you, whether you're busy or it's by design, prolong your responses when someone sends you a text message? You're either super busy or it's by design. You slow down the conversation, right? You go at your pace because the minute you respond fast, it's a full-blown back and forth, and you may not be able to engage in the full-blown back and forth. Let me know in the chat what kind of maybe text message approach you take. Sonia says, super busy. Yeah. I go that route too, right? I don't like to respond more in less than 5 to 15 minutes, right? I can respond in 6 minutes. I can respond in 15 minutes. Maybe it takes me an hour or two because I'm on like for example, I'm on the Zoom here with you guys. I'm here till 12 to 2, right? So unless someone's calling me off the hook, getting through my do not disturb, I'm not going to see the message, right? So there are times where people are just focused on one thing and they eliminate all distractions, right? So you want to make sure that you're sending a few messages out so that way as they start to trickle back, you have a good conversation flow and you're not bombarding yourself, right? Because what if everybody responds back at the same time? You have 15 live conversations? My goodness. And you want to nurture those relationships for potential business opportunities, right? Find out what's going on in their world, right? Whether you're referencing their Instagram, their LinkedIn, their Facebook, milestone, news article. You heard from a friend. You had a conversation with them at the supermarket. You're re-engaging. Pick up where you last left off or what's relatable to them personally. The benefit of that familiarity is what I went over, right? So all of this that I'm sharing with you are the benefits. I'm okay with getting the door slammed in my face. I'm okay with getting hung up. I've been through it so many times that it just allows me to optimize and pivot as needed. But you may not be. And here's what I don't want to happen to you, right? High level is powerful. It's amazing, right? But so are other things in life. And not everybody is open to learning about them. So high level falls in that bucket of a hidden gem many times. Or maybe your white label, the name doesn't appeal to them personally, right? Just they don't find an attachment. Maybe your branding colors, they don't find an attachment. Whatever it is, consistency and clarity are important, right? And you have to remember that you might have to move on to the next a few times. It's okay. That's why we say go, if you have 25 people, 50 people, 100 people, and just keep that list moving and grooving. And then trickle in people that you meet along the way. And, you should do a little bit of research. And I gave some examples, right? So let's say, for example, there's a patch news release that comes out for a business and I know the owners, right? I maybe snippet that clip. Maybe it's a Facebook message, a birthday alert. Maybe it's whatever. Just I'm using social media. I'm using word of mouth. I'm using my network to build up my Dream 100 so I could refer back to something valuable. What I don't want you to do is to look at their website and then put like this whole analysis together and say, hey, man, your website's horrible. Your social media is horrible. You got horrible bad reviews and your BBB is an F. That's not what I mean by research. I want you to research from a human element to connect you with that human being and let them know that you've done a little bit of research and you have care in you, that you are excited for what they got going on. Whether it's you just got a new sign in their building, or they have a new baby, or they have a new business. And then you want to, if they have all of the above, and let's say it's a new business, you want to see what they offer, who their audience is. Like, just understand their business. Understand their business a little bit. So when that comes up, you could talk to it. And then you want to tailor your conversation and your mindset to specific needs and challenges that may come up. So let's say, for example, they may say that they have a problem with getting reviews, or they have a problem with maintaining, the office or the website. Like, this is where, like, you just have to be on your A game of, like, understanding all aspects of your offer, but of, like, what other people need, right? And you'll get good at it because maybe you'll start to read articles on search engine land. Maybe you'll start to look at publications on different websites that are business based, or you're listening to Audible books, business based Audible books, marketing articles. So you want to be familiar with what's happening in the business and marketing world, so you can connect the two using your white label software powered by high level operating system. And as you're analyzing that, well, now you're able to then look at their business component. So because we're offering the AI chat assistant, here's a few things that we know for sure. We want to know that they have a website. Do they have a website up? Yes or no? Does their website have a frequently asked questions page? Yes or no? Does their website have an option to ask a question through a contact form? If so, what's that experience look like? And do they have a button that they can get immediate help right away, aka a live chat? Right? And if they don't have any of those four things, well, then this is somebody that you can spend some time with, inspire, help, and be of value to. Right? And all of the four that I mentioned tie back to the financial impact of their business. Do you know, or can you articulate that they're losing out on potential clients or existing clients because the lack of not having a website up and running and updated, not having questions in their answers, not having a button to press to ask for immediate help? And if you could start to articulate that with a good organic response and just feel comfortable and confident, you'll start to see these things become much more easier to talk about, right? And really, I don't want to get too in depth on the product end of it, but like I mentioned before, you have the review website experience, right? When you go on their website, you don't need to go through all their pages. You just need to make sure, is there a chat button that pops up? And if I was a consumer, how would I ask a question and how would I get help? And if there's no way to get help or ask a question, then that's where you're going to solve a problem at some point. And, it all starts with you reaching out to the Dream 100, right? So I gave you the mindset, the strategy, the framework. Now you got to, right, whether it's on Facebook, starting with a Facebook message, whether it's a text message, whether it's stopping by in person, you got to start that initial personality outreach. And they got to see at least your smile or hear your amazing voice. If they don't hear your amazing voice or see your amazing smile or your amazing energy, well, then you can't do anything amazing for them. And that's what starts anything from being ordinary to extraordinary, is the first impression leads to the path to extraordinary. And what's important is as you get these conversations flowing and you get like into this flow, right? It's like dancing, right? You start do a couple left to right dancing, and the next thing you know, you're break dancing, and next thing you know, you're doing the cha-cha, right? It comes through practice and experience, but you have to take cue. And taking cue, as if you were dancing, is taking cue of your partner, where they're leaning, where what their comfort level is. Are they doing double step, triple step, right? And that is equivalent to active listening. Active listening. You ask open-ended questions that prompt feedback. You listen to what their response is. You adapt your next question by mentioning a little bit about what they talked about, and then pivot it into the next question you ask. And that helps you build trust and rapport because you're involved and attentive to what they're saying, and you have strategic questions, not just busy questions. And a business person will respect that. A real business person that understands how to make relationships and the importance of relationships will say, you're on your game. Let's talk about what you can help me out with. I'd actually like to hire you as an employee, right? And you're gonna decline those offers all the time. Everyone's gonna want to hire you. If you're having great conversations, they're gonna want to hire you. But here's the benefit: as a consultant, as a strategist, as a partner, you don't need to hire me. You don't need to spend, $200,000 a year to have me on your payroll. Let's work together in this facet. Apply that $200,000 you would have invested in me as a full-time employee, and apply that to infrastructure, apply that to processes, apply that into other people and help and service and products, right? And you start to build a framework. Oh, $200,000, they're expensive. Well, here's how we could partner up instead. And, this is, there's different ways to say things, right? And, I spend a lot of time on the Dream 100 because it's easier said than done, right? Most people that I come across that I follow up with, they didn't reach out to their Dream 100. They're shy, they're embarrassed, they're unsure. They don't want to burn a bridge. They give me all these different excuses and reasons, right? And I say, well, the reason why you never reached out to them was because you don't have an organic way, a friendly way, a natural way to start a conversation. You haven't prepared yourself to just be curious. So you're afraid you're going to get right to the point and mess it all up. So I understand, but you need to make a pivot. You need to make an adjustment because the Dream 100 will help you tremendously. Dream 100 does two things. One, build your confidence. Two, builds referrals. Referrals, right? So I get enough confidence to speak with you. I know of you, familiar with you, you're familiar with me. But now you may say, no, this is not for me. But my buddy just opened up a new barber shop. My wife just opened up a new hair salon. My cousin just opened up a new car detailing place. This is perfect for my brother. He just opened up a new law firm. Okay. And this is the power of the referral network you start to build. All because of your good intent, energy, and building relationships, right? And you could screenshot this as inspiration. You could screenshot this as inspiration, but you got to make it your own. Got to make it your own because you might be in a different country. Got to put in your language. Might be in a different tonality, different style of how you act and do business. Make it your own. But these are short burst messages that it's that you're initiating the outreach, so you want to initiate it thoughtfully, right? You don't want to just say, yo, or hey, I got to talk to you about something, or hey, when you have a minute, call me. Like those are two straight shooter outreaches, and it just really throws people off, puts them in a bad mood. Like you want to really give them an opportunity to understand why you're reaching out, and give them the authority, put it in their hands to reach back out to you, right? Because if they don't reach back out to you, well, then you got to move on. Maybe they got a new phone number, or maybe they just don't have the time, or they're not interested in chatting. That's fine, right? And this is another example of like what I shared on the other one, right? Tying into their industry, letting them know what it does, right? This is after you get to initiate the conversation, you're chatting away, you have a good vibe going on. They're going to say, well, tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you got going on, right? And again, the business person that gets it, understands that they're innovative, and say, all right, well, you might show me what you're doing. Like, what do you have in the making, man? And now this is your confidence, your response with confidence. Man, I appreciate you asking. Like, so, you obviously know, or you remember, or you're aware that I've always been in the tech space. And I've been diving into this new venture lately that it's going to be a game changer because of my experience, but most importantly, because I'm working with 3 industries. One of them is yours. And basically, it's an AI receptionist service tool that is on your website 24/7, 365. I train the AI receptionist with all the frequently asked questions, all the concerns, whether it's booking appointments, gathering information that you need for callback requests, pretty much everything that they can type in with their two fingers, this will respond back to their typing. And when they're on your website, it keeps that conversation engaged. And if they leave, you have their information to follow up. What I love to do is really give you a sneak peek of my beta that I'm putting together. I'm getting ready to launch this in about 2 weeks. I'm just finalizing some loose ends. Would love for you to see how it works in your business. I'll set it all up, kind of walk you through it. And if it's something that you'd be up for it and you want to take on this experience full time for your business, we can talk about that. But maybe you're interested in this for somebody else, or you know someone else that might be interested in it. At the end of the day, I'd be thrilled to just set this up for you, get your feedback, get your honest recommendations and opinions, and really help it to finalize my launch. Let me know if you're interested in that, and I can set it all up for you. Like, how would you respond to that? If I said that to you, how would you respond to that? What would you say to me? Would you think I'm trying to sell you something? Would you think I'm trying to, I don't know. What would you think? I want to hear from you. Go ahead and throw it in the chat. What would you think if I said what I said to you in person or virtually or on the phone? What would your response be? And I'm jumping in the comments here, so looking out for your replies. Okay, give you guys a minute here. So, right, understanding your positioning, understanding, what your responses are going to be is going to be important. Kashif, I wrote my scripts out last night, and it's similar to this. So I love this, right? And, Kashif, you had mentioned, you might send a video. So, you might send a Loom. You might send like a voice video. You might do a FaceTime. But we have so much technology at our fingertips right now that sometimes, anyway, as long as they hear your voice or see your smile and they feel your intent, anyway works, at least to start. Right? And if you do it by phone, right, this is common knowledge, but you'd be surprised when you're starting a new venture, sometimes you forget about common knowledge because you're in startup mode. So this is a reminder. And here's a foundation that you can use by the phone. Again, they're all similar in some way, shape, or form. You just have to remix it with your tonality, break it up in conversation, and go from there. D. Hawkins, sure, I would love to get a sneak peek, right? What do you got to lose, Mr. Hawkins? I'll tell you what you got to gain. Cutting edge, visibility into what's coming into the market, and learning something new that you could potentially use at some point when you're ready for it. It's all you can gain. Right? And again, we talk about this, with prompting feedback and open-ended questions and, demonstrating adaptability, pausing as needed. Don't just yap, yap, yap. I'm yapping away here nonstop because it's a one-way conversation verbally, but it's a two-way as I'm reading some of your comments. Right? But remember, yours is going to always be two-way. So leave room and pause and eye contact to welcome the response. Right? If I don't welcome the response, people are going to stay quiet. And we want to foster a collaborative approach. Right? Any business person you're talking to, they want to feel that it's a collaboration, not just you want my money. Now, keep in mind, right? Everyone will say yes in the beginning. Everyone will say, sure, get back to me. I'm interested. And then game of business kicks in, game of life kicks in. Curveballs get thrown. People trip and fall. Everything in between happens. So don't wait for them to get back to you, but set up a follow-up and consistent cadence of staying in touch and really maybe weeding out those that maybe just said yes to not hurt your feelings. Maybe they said yes because they were afraid that you were going to maybe judge them if they said no, right? Whatever the case may be, there's a bunch of reasons why people just say yes to you. You want to make sure you're following up on the yes. And if it's a chase, at this point where we're at in technology and business and competitiveness and just the marketplace, follow up is showing you're interested in partnering with them. Follow up is sharing that we have some commonalities. I want to work with you. Here's why. Chasing is like playing tag. Maybe you're in the mood to play tag, maybe you're not. We never want to play tag you're it. It's just not. There's too much people out there looking for help. There's someone out there right now in your area that's struggling with getting help, finding people to hire, managing their day-to-day, answering questions, and they don't know where to go. They don't know who to ask for help. They put out job listings. They know, everyone that shows up is not qualified in their opinion. Someone's looking for you to assist them. And it's your job to go out and put yourself out there, whether it's virtually, in person, phone, text, email. You got to get yourself aware in the marketplace that you have the answer to some of these issues. And as you do that, the overall goal gets accomplished because you've personalized your outreach. You have a needs-based approach. You're focusing on relationship and building value. And you have genuine connections that if they don't become a customer of yours, you can still send them a text. You can still ask them how they're doing. You'll still receive happy holidays or happy birthdays from them. They won't block you on social media, and they won't talk bad behind your back. Right? So it's a win-win if you do it right, even if they don't become a customer. What's your take on all of that? What's your take on the Dream 100? What's something that you see a little bit different based on what I'm sharing with you? A little bit different based on maybe what you're used to, or a little bit different based on your experience or your opinion of sales. What did you take from that Dream 100 segment that you're going to maybe give it a shot, right? You're 50%, 60% on the fence of, I'm just going to give this a shot, versus before maybe you were like, look, I'm not touching my personal network here for whatever reason. Irv Kroll, my takeaway is that you're riding on the same horse the owner is, and you're there to help better their business in the direction they want to go. Listen, and they'll give you the keys to develop a great relationship. My man. Couldn't say it any better. Couldn't say it any better. Right? That's the feeling that you get. I got a little goosebumps reading that. I should feel exactly how Irv shared with me, to us. Sonia, feels more authentic, right? Like you're in the elevator and someone says, looking down, hey, how are you? Right? Or, right, we've all experienced that in the elevator. Or you're in the hallway, right? Whether you're commuting in a hallway and you hear someone says, hey, or they're like, it's like a weird defensive where it's awkward. Like they want to say something because they don't want to not say something walking by, or maybe they don't say anything, just look down and walk by you, ignore you. Like that's so awkward, so disrespectful, right? So having this authentic, whether you know them or not, being respectful goes a long way in the universe, personal development, and helping others in business, right? Please share your feedback. I'm only looking right now at the facebook.com/high-level-reviews chat on the live stream. It's the only one I'm looking at right at the moment. I know we're streaming this in our official community. We're streaming this in our 5-day AI challenge on YouTube, on LinkedIn, but I'm only looking at it at the moment from the Facebook page, high-level page. There's a live stream on that page. I'm looking at those comments. So if you want to jump over there and leave your comments and engage with me for an immediate including or responding, please do so there. I promise to go to the other channels here at some point and definitely respond back. Let me just make an adjustment here. We're going to jump next into networking. How many of you have experienced some sort of networking experience, whether it's through a Chamber of Commerce event, whether it's an online networking event, whether it's an in-person organized networking group event, like a BNI, a LATIP, a small networking group that a masterminds in your area, master networks in your area. Go ahead and throw in the chat if you've experienced one of those, and what did you enjoy about it? What did you enjoy about it? And maybe what were you not a fan of? Maybe what would you have maybe wished was a little different from that one experience? Go ahead and share that in the chat for me, because we're gonna complement those responses with what I've put together here for you. So we're gonna get right to this here. So virtual networking is really a great way of a one-to-many approach in many different ways, right? And these platforms, they provide a housing of like-minded professionals, people that want to meet others without paying like a big premium. So like, here's an example. You have a virtual networking group. Maybe they charge you $300 for the year. Maybe they charge you $20 per the visit. Maybe it's first 3 visits are free and then it's $175 a quarter, whatever it is. The equivalent to that is joining an association in your profession. Maybe it's $1,500 a year. Joining a country club, maybe it's $32,000 a year. Joining another type of association with exclusivity, maybe it's a buy-in of $200,000 a year, or you have to have credentials from a Yale club, Harvard club, or any sort of Ivy League or relatable wealth-oriented kind of brand, right? Let's say there's the Lamborghini Club or the Maserati Club, right? And they charge you a membership fee because here's why. There's other like-minded owners, other like-minded business people that have that commonality, and there's value to that commonality because it's expensive and it's, right, has value to it. So in order to be in that room, you got to pay the price. You have to invest in the room and yourself. Well, this is a business way that you could affordably invest in and meet other like-minded people. And that's why I'm really passionate about the virtual networking and just networking in general. Now, to expand on the networking, right? To expand on the networking, you could do so with associations, networking groups, whether they're spin-offs or private groups, meetup groups, different events, one-off events, training events that have a networking mixer and training, trade shows and expos, business events, professional development workshops, or university and college alumni events, all of which you could incorporate, right? But every type of event has their own way of customer journey, networking journey. So you want to understand how often do they meet? What is the agenda typically? And then what's typically the expectation from the members that are participating? Are they expected to give a 30-second pitch? Are they expected to submit a fee to present once a month? Like, there's different requirements and best practices they do to give the whole group value. So, wherever you are, right, there may be some events more than others, but the blend here is you have the virtual component and the in-person. Or you could just make your own. You could just make your own, right? I won't get into how to make your own. It's just a little bit more of a lengthy process, but why don't we know that there's a lot of people that have small groups together. They meet informally on a Zoom or in a coffee shop. We see this in our high-level community. In our high-level community, we got people that all over the country, they meet at coffee shops once a month. They run hosted events, whether they're free or paid. They have Zoom meetings, they have training sessions, and they're not sponsored by high-level. High-level staff is not involved in it. It's just like-minded people that are on the high-level operating system, running their high-level driven businesses to help businesses in their area. High level is the commonality. And people will pay with their time, their knowledge, experience, or with a fee to be with those other like-minded people who use high level. So I want you to look at it like that for these business people. And in Google, typing in keywords like business networking events in quotations will share with you on Google those specific search results. You want to add the location. You want to use the Google filters to refine by date and area. You want to explore event websites like eventbrite.com, meetup.com, and Facebook events. Facebook events is a hidden gem. Hidden gem. And then you want to check local sites, maybe your patch.com, your local news sites, maybe your local news website, right? Whether it's CBS, Fox, CNN, whatever local site, Good Morning America, like every city, state has their own like news places. Go on their sites. They usually host local event briefings. This is what's happening this weekend, this week. And at the end of the day, you're looking to make relationships like you did with your Dream 100, for them to listen to you, get to know you, and say, hey, man, what do you got? You seem like you know a lot about what you're talking about. I've heard some things about you, or I've seen this, or I did some research. Could you share with me what you got? I have an appliance repair business. We've been around for 5 years. We're doing really good, but I know we could do better. What would you do? What advice could you give me? How could you help me? What would you offer me? And now they've already set the stage. And that active listening kicks in. And now you're asking strategic questions to understand their needs, their wants, where they're at, where they want to be. And you're getting them the help, or at least the guidance that they're expecting to see what you could do for them. And don't rush it, because you gotta lead in here. Don't rush it. Again, nurture the relationship, get to know them, maintain the eye contact, ask great questions, get personal a little bit, right? If they got a dog, what's the dog's name? They got kids, how many? Share a little bit about your story. You want to build the relationship. And here's what I call it. You want to make business owner friends. Business owner friends. Right? Imagine having 15 business owner friends in your phone that at any given moment, you can ask them for their advice, ask them if they know somebody that needs help, or maybe you get 15 people on your phone list that say, hey, my brother just opened up a business. Hey, I met somebody that I know they could use your help. Hey, would you mind stopping by this place, man? These people are great people. I know they need help. Like, they become your advocates. They become your extended sales force. They become your referral partners. Now, I've been doing this long enough, and you might be saying, John, good sales pitch, but if I have to sell this and I have to go out and about, this isn't for me. Well, then by all means, it's not for you, right? You have to build relationships with whatever you sell, whether it's Girl Scout cookies, whether it's Mary Kay, whatever you're selling, you got to build some relationship, right? Because we're in an economy where you can buy this stuff on Amazon and they don't need you, right? And they don't need me. So you have to build a relationship. And this is just an easy way to do it, right? And as you do that, you get to do this demo. You get to say, hey, look, check out my website, right? I had the website built along with my colleagues in our product marketing team, Chase Buckner, Haplin Milgram Hills, and our amazing superhumans behind the scenes. You know, when you may be familiar with Paulson, when he used to do the missed call text back, what really was successful around the missed call text back was the engagement, the opportunity that potential customers had to see for themselves. Show me the proof. Well, once you get your website up and running, this will show you the proof. They'll be able to engage with your AI assistant and see how it will potentially help them by experiencing those conversations. So it's important that when you hear the word demo, I don't want you to hear that you have to get in front of a Zoom and you have to share your screen. You just got to send them the website, tell them to press the button and ask it a question. And I want you to imagine it to be your business, whether it's a limousine business, chiropractor, dog walking business, barber. We're gonna train your AI assistant to answer the questions that your customers or your potential customers are going to ask. And they're going to be able to see the ease of use. Now, there might be a time where maybe you're at a networking event, or you're doing a presentation about this, or you're doing like a recording of it, sharing your screen. So you may need to you'll need to showcase the experience if maybe they're not techie enough that they even know where to do or what to click. So I recommend that you record a short video of you walking through it that you could just send to them. Hey, look, here's the website. You could experience it for yourself. And here's like a 38-second video that'll walk you through it too. Whatever you prefer, go for it. Let me know what your thoughts are. And you want to just highlight the simplicity and setup and tell a story. How many of you enjoy stories? Right? How many of you enjoy a good story? How many of you enjoy a good, engaging, learning moment story? Something that you hear from someone sharing, like, oh my gosh, you'll never believe what I went through. You would never believe what I went through. What a crazy day. Can I share with you the crazy day I had? And it just engages you. I mean, it's to the point where you're like, oh, hold on, let me go get some popcorn real quick. Go ahead. Right? Like, that's the hook, right? And that's the hook. That's an art, right? Telling a great story is an art, and it's not going to happen overnight. So I want you to get comfortable with telling the story, your story with the AI assistant being launched as a business service, your story on how this helps other people, your story around why people are now using AI assistant for their business, like just having a good story to share around different topics. And that'll come with practice. And of course, there's going to be questions, right? People that are interested have good questions. So be prepared to answer those questions. And maybe those questions maybe feel like objections, but maybe they just don't know what they don't know. So don't take it personal when they give you an objection. They just don't know what they don't know. And provide the solution and the reassurance and the feedback and the guidance. Tell a story to support what you're saying. Not a long story. Obviously, time is of the essence. So find your short story flow and encourage the interaction, right? And having a one-way conversation is never fun. Invite the questions, invite the feedback, and ensure that everything is engaging. If it makes sense, it makes money. If it makes sense, it'll make money. And they just want to feel that. Does this make sense? Can this help me actually? Or is this just a nice shiny object that I'm going to cancel in a month? Right? So you need to be prepared with those passive questions or direct questions, because they'll come at you in different long-formed question style, or they'll come at you with, what's the scam that you're selling me? Huh? What do you mean, what's the scam I'm selling you? I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you're asking, right? Some people are just more direct than others. What's the multi-level marketing thing you're selling me here? What is this, like multi-level marketing? No. Is this like a network marketing? No. This is an AI chat assistant to help you get off the computer and take care of your customers and not have to like answer these questions over and over and over. Forgive me, I might have confused you. Can I show you this? Because this might be something you've been looking for, right? And you got to be ready to pivot, right? They might throw the ball at you when you weren't ready, and it might hit you in the chin, but you got to catch it and get it back at a fair speed when they're ready to catch it. So, hey, no problem. Let me explain to you. Let me show you. We've gone over a lot. And there seems to be like this new trend happening right now. This new trend of like, whether people are sharing the feed, like they're sharing this live session with somebody that they know. I've actually been like seeing like, it's kind of crazy, but a compliment, like competitors, like people from other companies tuning in for like 2 hours with me. So thank you to everybody. Like if you're hanging out with me for 2 hours, whether you're listening, watching me, I appreciate you. And you know, whether they're competitors or in the industry, the information is still all consistent, right? We're helping small to medium-sized businesses grow. And I take feedback from others and I learn from others. It's not just I learn here at High Level. I read books. I look at other webinars and podcasts. I take clues. But you know that you're onto something really great with great people when others are taking notes of what you're sharing and helping others that they have an influence over. So if you're one of those folks that are just tuned in because you're like, all right, man, I could relate to this guy. Or hey, I like High Level and whoever this is kind of knows what they're talking about. Well, I invite you to take a 30-day trial. Jump onto our website, go to gohighlevel.com/5DC offer. Go get a 30-day trial on me. I want you to jump into the system. I want you to learn it. I want you to see the power it has. I want you to understand the benefit that it can do for you. And I want you to watch the rest of the videos that maybe you might have missed. And then I want you to jump in the university course. I want you to jump in our Facebook group. I want you to really get the full experience of this because you're missing out if you don't. You're missing out if you don't, right? And the reason why we want you to get the trial is because you need the trial to get all the bonuses. We got like about a bunch of bonuses that come along with the course, from paid ad templates to BNI chamber presentations, full access to the software, scripts, workbooks. I mean, we went all out. We went all out. Those bonuses are available within the course as attachments. And this includes the website. This includes the AI assistant, all set up for you, the snapshot, everything's there. And if you're an existing customer, because we post this in our groups, and you've been thinking about AI, or you really didn't even know that we had these workshops and events, you don't need to get a trial. Just go into the university section, see if you have the 5-day AI challenge already. If you don't, contact support through the in-app button, and they'll get you access. And then reach out to me. We'll get you access to the group, and we'll get you caught up, and we'll answer any questions you have as well. Right? But these are the resources that you need to really fully participate, because this live session is only one component. There's 3 to 4 other ways that you consume strategy, actions, and results from. I'm just one of those many ways. So we're at the tail end of what we went over today. I know we went over a lot, right? And there's no accountability without giving you something to really show that you've done it and that you know it and that you understand it. So I want you to get right into taking action, right, around this, which is making a list of all your potential prospects, right? If your system is fully set up, I want you to add them as contacts into your high level, right? I want you to add them as contacts into your high level. I want you to go find a local in-person or online networking event. Just find one, whether it's in person or online. Just find it, join it, go to it, sign up for it, and show up. Now, here's a little tip about these online networking events and in-person events. These days, they get really weird when you just show up unannounced. I've experienced it. So make sure you go through the sign-up process, whether it's paying the $5, the $15, or the $20. Do that in advance. And if it's online, give your right email, your right phone number, because they're going to check. They're going to send you notifications. And if it bounces back, they're just going to be like, oh, sorry, you're not welcomed here, right? It's people a little bit more direct these days with these groups because they want to protect the audience. They want to protect the network. By all means, I agree with it. Then I want you to prepare your opening message, whether it's a social media message, a text message. I just want you to really, 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 really get into just getting some of these messages out, right? To a small handful of prospects, familiar people, friends, and just see where it goes. And what's the worst? They say, I'll hit you back. Busy right now, on vacation, call you next week. Let's chat next week. Find a time on my calendar. Those are all great responses. It gives you a reason to respond back to them. But if they don't respond to you at all, then they might have got a new phone number, or they're dodging you, or they just don't recognize your number because your number's not in their phone anymore for whatever reason. They got a new phone. So make sure you identify yourself clearly. Make sure you add some emotion to it, some connectivity. So that way they're inclined to respond to you. It's not like a random, hey, is this question mark? Like, that's always weird. I never respond to those. Right? Don't make it weird. If it feels weird, don't make it weird. Don't send it. And then get into the flow of your sales. Take out sales, right? Just get in the flow of practicing your conversation. 3 parts of your conversation, right? Your, hey, how are you? How you been? Let's catch up. Then there's like, what are you up to? Like, what's your whole what you're up to about? Like, yeah, I'm jumping into the software industry. Put together this prototype, this beta. Would love for you to check it out because it's specific for your industry. Identify the industry. Know you've been in business for a long time. You get it. You understand it. We love your feedback, right? You have to have your flow ready to go, right? And practice it with somebody. Whether it's somebody that you met in the Facebook group, record it, send it. Then they'll record it. Like, so Loom is great for this. You get Loom, right? And you just record it and you send it to each other. Or you just record and you say, hey guys, throw it in the Facebook group. Hey everyone, here's my so-and-so opening. Would love your feedback. Hey y'all, here's my so-and-so. If they ask me, what do I do? Or what do I got? Here's my response, right? Just throw it in the group. I'll respond back and a handful of others will. That I promise you, right? And if at any point you feel embarrassed, you feel insecure about where you're at in our challenge and our journey, then you need to raise your hand. And here's where you can raise your hand in a safe manner. Go to speakwith.us/success. When I say there are hundreds of superhumans that are behind the scenes taking care of our trial customers, our paying customers, our legacy customers, our agencies, our enterprise, everyone in between that uses high level. Hundreds, all day, every day, Monday through Friday, 24 hours a day. Click that link. Tell them I'm in John's challenge. I'm in the 5-day challenge. This is my situation. I'm not really techie. Give them the lowdown. And I promise you, the person you connect will say, all right, well, here's how I can help you. Here's the heavy lifting I'll do, but I need you to do this on your part. And now if that doesn't work or you still are stuck, throw it in the group chat in our Facebook chat. Myself, Jordan Matthias, who's amazing. He's handling all the conversations here. He keeps an eye on it. Colleagues Paulson Thomas, you probably know of him, seen him, been part of his challenge. Also amazing in there. We have Ethan Crisp, another amazing person. And then we have some just superhumans that you may not know by name or seen them, but they're there to help you. T, Mark, we have a full community team just here to make a difference for you. So there's no excuses of why you can't start the challenge or complete it. That link, you got the information that you need. And I always want to open it up to some questions, right? Some feedback. Keeping this relevant is important. And, what I've noticed with the sales portion of things that there's really not a lot of questions to be asked because we all have our own style, right? But if there's any questions around these items, I'm going to give you the answers to, right? So maybe question one is having sales conversations a requirement to having high level as a white label business? Not 100%, but it plays a big percentage because you have to meet people or engage with people so they learn to trust you and understand what you offer. So maybe you take out the word sales conversations and you just label it as consultative conversations, right? Coaching conversations, mentoring conversations. Just the name itself can make a big difference in the mental, right? So just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be sales. You're coaching, you're mentoring, you're assisting, you're advising. Use the word that matters to you to make you feel confident around what you're doing, right? John, if I'm not in sales, how can I get better? Right? Practice, staying human, and consistently outreaching to new people, whether it's commenting and liking their post, building a connection with them, a parasocial connection on social media, right? I know more people virtually than I know in person. I get more people that comment and like my stuff virtually than I know in person, right? And I don't even know these people's families or backgrounds. Like, it's just a parasocial approach that people are showing support to people they don't even know these days more than those that they know. It's a whole other story conversation. All I'm saying is there's no excuse why you can't meet like-minded people and help them or them help you. Whether it's them giving you referrals or you giving them referrals or you coming together and partnering up in working in a niche or in a group, or maybe they're part of an association and they say, I would love for you to come and speak to my association. I would love for you to come and speak to my group that I run every 2 weeks. The topic is CRM or the topic is AI. Right? There's so many ways to leverage good conversations and relationships to put you in front of a new audience. Okay. And the last question that usually comes up with sales is, do I need to do paid ads? I don't have a budget for it. I'm in a tough part of my life right now where the $97 or just money's a little tight and I really want to build up. No, you don't need to do paid ads. You don't need to spend any money on marketing. All right. But you need to spend time, which could equate to money, right, in the right places with the right people. So if you don't want to do paid ads, you don't have to. but your advertising really becomes your personality, your outreach, your follow-up. How you make people feel is the return on investment of what you put out there, right? If you make people feel great, they will be your biggest advocates. And you're making them feel great because you see the best out of them. You see the potential. It's not you're just making people feel great to get a business. Don't do that, right? Make people feel great because you notice maybe they have a super nice way of how they present their business, or maybe they share great quotes and they resonate with you. Maybe they are showcasing some milestones in their lives, right? Find ways to bring the best and encourage people and just be a likable human being. And you'll see how it's like a domino effect. All these different things start getting you to the finish line. Sometimes it happens quicker than you expect. Other times it's the long game. But here's the big picture in sales. Take out the word sales in anything you do, but know that the exchange of money for time, trust, and experience is a sales transaction, right? Is a sales transaction. You just need to lead them to understand that you have the goods to provide the expectation and result that they want. Y'all have been amazing. This has been a fun time with you all. Thank you for all the comments, the feedback, everything that y'all have been participating with. Team and I were going to go through the comments here today. We're going to make sure we get you the responses. Jordan has already pushed a bunch of links of how to get the help you've been asking for. We hope to see you in the Facebook group. Jump in that Facebook group. If you got some feedback, throw it in there. If you took some screenshots that really resonated with you, throw it in there. Let us know. Let us know what you got out of this and what help you need. Tomorrow. What do we got going on? Right? Tomorrow's fulfillment. Tomorrow's a jam-packed day of fulfillment. And we're going to talk about, now that we got the sales part done, what happens now when people start signing up with you, right? I want to get this. I got my friend. I got 2 businesses. I got 3 businesses. I'm starting up a new business. I need your help. Okay. Sign here, pay here. Now what? We got to fulfill. Let's fulfill. So tomorrow we're going to get all into fulfillment. And again, like I like to mention, what I'm going through today is different than what's in the course. So this doesn't substitute the course, and the course doesn't substitute the live. They work together because they're the same topic, but their strategy and use cases are different. So make sure you jump in that course, do the course training if you haven't. And if you did already, jump into tomorrow's fulfillment. I'm going to touch on some of those items, do some live walkthrough, and then we're going to get into some language, some strategies, and how do you bring this fulfillment to the finish line so that way the customer feels they got their money's worth and they're on the right path for success. Y'all have been amazing. We have the next 2 days to really bring this home. We already got some successes coming in, that we got some people with appointments, some people in the pipeline. Who will be the first one to get their first paying customer? Who will be the first one? Who will be the first one? And who will be the next one to grow their monthly recurring revenue business using high levels and operating system and potentially add an extra line of income to their bottom line to give their families, themselves, more than they expected? And that's the power here. So you could work a side job, you could work a part-time job, or you could be in business for yourself. We're going to give you all the tools. Results will vary, but we have enough use cases to support that we've put together a repeatable, structured process that you can use as a foundation to build your own. Till next time, tomorrow, 12 p.m., we do it again, live, in the stream, you engaging, me sharing. Till tomorrow, have a great day. And thank you for your commitment to the 5-day